Welcome to the Geekcentric podcast, and welcome to our watch club for Disney Plus's series Obi Wan Kenobi. Who's in the gutter now? Hello, I'm JLaw, but you can call me Justin, and this is our watch club for Obi Wan Kenobi Episode 2, entitled Part 2. If you're joining us for the first time, well, this is Watch Club, our weekly review series, kind of like a book club, but way better. Keep in mind, we'll be going into full spoilers for this series and Star Wars in general, so if you haven't watched Episode 2, which is live now on Disney Plus, be sure to do so, and then come on right back in less than 12 parsecs. Now, before we say hello there, let me introduce you to my traveler from the Outer Rim, who is joining me for today. You remember her because she was on Episode 1. She is Meganclara of Meganclara.Draws. How are ya?
Hello there. I'm doing well.
Hello there. We're getting into take 2 for Episode 2 because, yes, they released both of these episodes back to back. So we decided to treat them as separate episodes, just like Disney Plus does. You know, one episode from one episode for the other.
I will say I'm glad that they released them as like together, though. I'm
yeah,
glad they
absolutely,
both came out at the same time.
For sure. And I think that, you know, it's very helpful when there's a 2-episode release like this because it helps give you a little bit more of a breath as to what to anticipate for the rest of the series. And I think that it has some issues, but we'll get to that. We'll get to that. Episode 2 of Obi-Wan starts with Obi-Wan arriving at the busy port of Daiyu. As he roams the streets, he tries to get some information about where Leia might be kept. Having no luck, a little boy overhears Obi-Wan and approaches and says, "You need help? Well, there's a Jedi that can help you." Intrigued by this, Obi-Wan takes the bait and follows along.
Yep.
This Jedi goes by Haja Estri, played by Kumail Nanjiani, who works in the shadows, taking credits in exchange to help ferry people out of the city. He certainly drives a hard bargain, and it doesn't take long for Obi-Wan to see through his facade and that he is not a Jedi at all, but just a lover of credits. So let's stop it here. I'd love to know what your first impression is of Daiyu as we see the sort of grittiness of this city. And were you surprised to see Kumail Nanjiani play a very con artist role?
Yeah, this Daiyu place is very reminiscent to the like lower levels of Coruscant, the more like sketchy levels. So that's very kind of cool to see that. I will say I don't know what it is about choreography and some background stuff, but there's the scene when Obi-Wan is walking through and like seeing Daiyu for the first time, and those two guys like push each other. Just looks a little bit silly. I don't know.
And actually, I completely forgot to call out a very pivotal moment where we hear basically a homeless clone asking Obi-Wan for credits, who is, you know, down on his luck. And it's played by Temuera Morrison. And he's grizzly. He's got long hair. And while it was great to see Temuera Morrison in this series or making a cameo, what's really crazy is the expression on Obi-Wan's face. Mm-hmm. You can see the trauma kind of just take effect.
And that's the thing, is his pain is so evident throughout this show, and it will continue through all 6 episodes, I'm sure. So, that clone feature was really fun. I, for a very quick second, thought it might be Rex, and then my brain went, "No, it can't be." So we'll move past that.
Yeah, I guess that was my first thought as well. Doesn't Rex have a big beard? He does, right?
He
Rex
does eventually.
Beard, right?
In Rebels, he has like a big white beard.
In Rebels, maybe it could be him. It's really hard to not think of Rex when you see that beard, right? So, but getting back to Haja Estri and his introduction, I thought it was really interesting to bring him in as this light comedic relief that ends up actually being very useful, because as he was there to obtain information, Hajj decides to help Obi-Wan and gives him a possible location of where Leia might be. And I think this place can only be described as a drug den or some sort of a grow-op. And after creating a diversion, Obi-Wan slips into the back, where he is then confronted by Leia's kidnappers in a hand-to-hand altercation, leading to the reveal that this was all a trap to flush out Obi-Wan. Again, using his wit, because he's so broken he can't do anything else. He uses a canister of drugs which was given to him when he was walking the streets of Dayu to create a diversion. And as he slips away, he does find the right cell holding Leia, which in my opinion is hella convenient. And Reva is inbound, so Obi-Wan and Leia have to make a quick escape while the two try to find new outfits to disguise themselves in the streets of Dayu. The Grand Inquisitor arrives and confronts Reva for her treachery, and he reminds her that she came from the gutters and is the least of them all. He then orders her to stand down and that he will take Kenobi in. Reva, of course, ignores this and sends out a warning to all bounty hunters on the planet, informing them that Kenobi is out there. And, of course, Haja Estri and his little ragtag kiddo end up deciding to join in the hunt for Obi-Wan. So we'll stop here for a second, and there was a lot that happened, I guess, but the sort of easiness of, Obi-Wan getting this information, finding himself in the place where the captors are holding him. I get that this was part of a big plan to kind of flush him out, but even the way he was able to slip away and get Leia and then escape, like it all felt very convenient and easy. There really wasn't any threat, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the things that kind of bothered me about this episode, is that things just happened a little too easy. But that being said, when Leia and Obi-Wan are together, it's pure delight. Even just the way Leia is just like, you're a Jedi? You're looking a little old and beaten up to be a Jedi.
Yeah, this is our story. I'm your father and you're going to be my daughter. More like granddaughter.
Yeah, exactly, right? And like, what's so funny is I laughed out loud at that moment, because I could see Leia like as Carrie Fisher saying that. Do you know what I mean? Like,
oh absolutely.
Yeah, right? So it's funny because obviously, as we were saying in the last episode, she's a little younger than 10, in my opinion. Like, she just seems a little younger than 10. But she is definitely more mature in terms of like the way she's delivering her lines.
Oh, yeah.
100%. She's more hyper aware of, things that are going on. But she does seem a little bit young here. I love when they're going shopping for little costume outfits. Like, she got to get her something. He gets her the green jacket, just like she looked in Return of the Jedi. I thought that was so cute. Like, she looks like a little like Princess Leia. Like, I just thought it was.
I didn't get that reference.
Yeah, and
That's
she has the
awesome.
braids in her hair and stuff like that. So thanks for the internet for that little Easter egg. But I thought it was a pure delight moment to see that that was a bit of an Easter egg. And again, she reads into him so well. Like, there's that moment when they're walking through the streets and she says, you think if you're saying less, that's helping you, but it's actually doing the worst. I'm sure that's not the exact name. But basically, she's calling him out. Yeah. And I think that, again, is just this instance of her showing her ability to kind of use the Force in her own way, to read people and to understand the situation, rather than, as she would say, make me float. Right? If you're a Jedi, make me float. I thought that was so funny. Like,
it's
just
so
like,
good.
I'm not a clown. I'm not a magician. I'm not gonna do a party trick if I'm a Jedi.
Yeah.
So I thought that was kind of funny. But with Reva, again, she is overstepping like crazy.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I don't know what it is.
Okay, well, the thing that stood out to me about what she said was that she went to the archives and found a connection between Bail Organa and Obi-Wan, which I thought was interesting because she's obviously doing some sort of research, but it doesn't really seem like someone who would be of the Sith or of any sort of dark force would actually have that due diligence. Yeah. So it does feel like it does come from a pre-existing idea. We know the Jedis did a lot of that. They would always go to the archives. They would always reference and research before. So I think this is another little sign that she could be one of those kids that we saw escape Order 66, and this insult or dig to her that she's from the gutter and that she's the least of them. Yeah. That I think in many ways, whatever happened with, the events that happened with Order 66 and where she's come, this is fueling her dark side of the Force. Yeah. So she's amped and she just wants to achieve her goal, and she's willing to sacrifice anything to kind of get there.
Yeah. I don't know. I think I need more. So with what we've been given and with her performance and the desperate need to only find Obi-Wan and only for her own gain. It's not actually like, well, we all need to find Obi-Wan. It's like, no, I'm going to be the one to do it. It's not going to be you. There's something that should be very passionate. And yeah, I just personally don't feel that coming from her yet. So I'm intrigued to see where she goes as a character. Now, to go back to like all of the fight sequences and the whole escape route with Obi-Wan and Leia and stuff, I found the fight sequences to be incredibly clunky. However, I loved them that way because it makes sense for him. He is, like we were saying, he's detached himself from the Force. It's been 10 years since he's been the Obi-Wan that we all know and love. So for him to like not be able to bounce back that quickly and not have the reflexes he did makes a lot of sense.
Sure, yeah.
Obviously, there are some bits and pieces that are like just choreographed incorrectly because he's obviously not going to actually get hit with something by a 10-year-old girl. But the way he just goes, oh, and like reverbs off of that hit is a little iffy to me.
Yeah.
But that main fight sequence, I actually was okay with it being clunky because it makes sense for his character. Yeah,
it shows the lack of experience that he has. It's been 10 years, like you said. You know, it shows in his fighting. It shows in his reflexes that he's not the same Obi Wan Kenobi, and that's apparent. So I appreciated the fight sequence of that. I don't know if I really enjoyed this sort of like, there was just no, again, as we get further into this, it just, you'll see like it just doesn't feel like there's much to this episode that's meaningful.
Yeah, there's no stakes.
Exactly. Other than what we get at the end, and we'll talk about that when we get there. Let's keep going here. So just like in the first episode, Leia ends up running off, this time forcing Obi-Wan to try and chase her through the market. And unfortunately, this draws the attention of numerous bounty hunters, and things get escalated. This leads to Obi-Wan chasing Leia across rooftops, as Reva parkours herself across the rooftops to catch up with the action that she can see unfolding. Meanwhile, Obi-Wan is pinned down by two bounty hunters, and Leia contemplates leaping a large gap to escape both Obi-Wan and the bounty hunters. Now, after Obi-Wan kills one of those bounty hunters, the other seemingly disappears, which, again, too little too late. Leia has made the commitment to jump, and she jumps, and of course, with her small legs, she didn't make the gap, and she falls, and hanging by a cable, begging for Ben to help. She then slips and falls to the ground, and this, of course, forces Obi-Wan to dig deep and use the Force to save Leia before she hits the ground. So he inevitably made her float, which I thought was really, really great. I appreciate in this moment that, Leia, again, is showing how adult she is in this situation by reading the situation and understanding, really, she was kidnapped and plucked because of Obi-Wan's connection to her father, and that they were really after Obi-Wan, and that she was just bait. And I think that's, again, I don't know if she used the Force to really kind of unravel that, but again, it just shows how adult Leia is in this whole situation. But that being said, it all led to another chase scene. I was with some friends when we watched this, and they said, oh, it's a little bit more believable. It's a market. She has a little bit more. But I'm just like, I don't know. I wouldn't have done two chase scenes back to back in episodes. Like, I just don't think that's right. And again, it felt very clunky, and it didn't seem real. Like, there's a point where Obi-Wan is fighting off someone, and he turns, he says, Leia, Leia. And based on the cut, it looks like he almost grabs her. But then they cut the scene, and they've put more space between them so that she could get away. So just, it didn't, like, it was a very clunky editing style that just, it didn't really correlate or really match up. And suddenly they're on rooftops. They're just on rooftops, running across rooftops, and like her little legs, like she's just running, and like, again, if she doesn't run like a 10-year-old. She looks so much younger. She looks like she's 8, right? Yeah. So, and again, she contemplated trying to make that massive leap. That wasn't going to happen. No, what did you think, though, when you saw that moment where Obi-Wan was just staring down and just trying to find the ability to use the Force?
I loved that. Again, it's his disconnection to the Force, and he brings it out because he knows he has to, because it's his responsibility, and he, at this point, still thinks that Anakin is gone, so his only connection to Anakin are these two kids. So he has to do everything in his absolute power to save her. He does, and it's like a really beautiful moment to know that he's able to use that again, even though it's exhausting. Also, to shout out Reva in this moment, everybody loves an unnecessary gainer. I don't get it. Just because you got the Force, why?
Yeah, and like, and the other thing too is like, I don't think it was as flawless.
No.
In terms of the way it looked. Like, especially there was one instance where she's running, she jumps and she like almost bounces off of a wall and the camera does some work. It didn't look clean. It looked a little, as you said, it clunky. It just didn't seem to really have that wow factor that we would kind of get from Star Wars.
Yeah.
It felt very TV, in all honesty. I'll just say it. I know that might be a faux pas word right now, but it just didn't seem to have that sort of elevated choreography that I think we've gotten from even shows like Book of Boba Fett.
Absolutely. I'd even refer to like season 7 of the Clone Wars, the fight between Ahsoka and Darth Maul on the planet of Mandalore, because it's all mocap. So that is two people doing that fight.
Yes, you're absolutely right.
And even that is so much more seamless than what we saw here.
I think the whole fight sequence and the two bounty hunters was a little confusing.
Yeah.
You know, that robot one just stopped shooting conveniently after he tagged one. And like, I just thought that was a really, really, really strange. But it really does come down to, as you were saying, with the moment with Obi-Wan, and he's seeing that Leia is just hanging on and he has to dig deep. And the way the camera gets really in his face to show the tension, like the idea that he has to embrace the Force once again. Because I think, as you've been mentioning in the previous episode and here, he has cut himself off, which I think is just almost like a validation as to why Luke was in The Last Jedi, how he was very cut off from the Force. I'm starting to see some parallels here about where Obi-Wan is with the emotional trauma that has caused them to distance themselves from the Force. And in all honesty, to even just trust it if they believe in it anymore. Do you know what I mean? Yep. Because of what has happened. Ultimately, maybe they are the bad guys. Just saying. I'm just saying.
That's a great point.
Yeah. But moving on, the next scene, Obi-Wan makes it down to the alleyway after Leia has landed safely, where she now believes that he is a Jedi because, well, he made her float. They run into Haja Estri again, who actually saves them. And shoots the other bounty hunter in the back, the one that mysteriously disappeared from the rooftop. Haja deems himself a friend and gives Obi-Wan a key to a new ship and coordinates to another location to get them to safety, promising him to buy them some time. That turns out not to be very much time at all, as he is then confronted by Reva. And Reva basically probes his mind. She uses that Jedi mind trick that we've seen from Kylo Ren and probes his mind. So my thing is this, and maybe we don't necessarily have a full answer to this, but why didn't she do that with Owen? Because it seemed like she knew that he was hiding something. If she had this capability, why didn't she go into his mind and reveal that? Because that seems like a missed opportunity, if anything, because that would have given her two Jedis.
Sure.
That she didn't know. But it was interesting that we saw that power kind of manifest itself here full-fledged. Like she just probed his mind, no problem.
I wonder if it's maybe because there was nobody watching. So maybe she has these powers that are unbeknownst to the rest of the Inquisitors. And when she was in front of Owen, the fifth brother was there. So maybe there's something that she's like not trying not to let them know how powerful she actually is.
She is.
That could answer
Sold.
that.
Sold. Sold.
I believe it.
As this is going on, obviously Obi-Wan and Leia, they escape and arrive at this cargo hold, and Leia and Obi-Wan have a lovely little exchange that leaves Obi-Wan feeling reminiscent of his time with Padme, and I think his time with Anakin, as he sees so much of them in her. And I thought, like, again, with all the action and all these little like hiccupy moments, these moments really do stand out.
Oh,
like,
totally.
This moment really stood out to me as like, damn, like This is so cool to see. Like, this is so cool to see Obi-Wan being able to interact with Leia and see this side of her that, reminds him of the good days, right?
Oh, it was so lovely. It's like you said, it's him being reminded of those people that he cared so deeply about through these kids. So even back when he was looking at Luke through the little binoculars and watching him like pretend to fly a plane, it's like, or fly a jet or whatever. He's just like Anakin, because Anakin had this whole dream of being the best pilot ever. And now he's, conversing with Leia, and she sounds exactly like her birth mother, because she was a strong-willed, passionate, independent woman who was a leader and also stubborn.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. I'm not stubborn. I'm not. Like, it's just like, of course you're stubborn. Like, we know who you're going to be. And I think that's such a great thing for the audience, because we know who Leia is going to become. So being able to spend at least this time with her, it is interesting, albeit very bizarre, given what's happened in the canon. But again, I'm wondering how they're going to play it out, because he hasn't told her yet that his name is Obi Wan Kenobi.
No,
and
that's true.
He said that you're Ben. My name's Ben. And when we do get the first instance of a message in A New Hope, she does reference him as Obi Wan Kenobi, which means that she might not know that Obi Wan and Ben are the same person. She might just know that a person named Ben saved her a long time ago, and Obi-Wan is a friend of her father's that he can only trust, years later. So I think there's justification here that this could fit in there. All right, well, we're getting towards the end of the episode here. So after this lovely heartfelt moment between Obi-Wan and Leia, Reva shows up. And while Leia runs off to ready the ship, Obi-Wan hides. He holds his saber ready to ignite it, yet never confronts Reva. Being strong with the Force, she can sense that he is there, and she begins to taunt him, egging him to reveal himself. And she goes so far as to drop the bombshell that Anakin is still alive, leaving Obi-Wan shocked. As Reva gets closer to Obi-Wan, the Grand Inquisitor interrupts and demands Reva to stand down, and that he will show her how it's done. After his hurtful words from earlier, Reva decides to kill him right on the spot and says, "Who's in the gutter now?" This allows Obi-Wan enough time to flee and jump on the ship. As it takes off, Reva vows to find him. On the ship, a shocked and traumatized Obi-Wan is trying to comprehend the fact that his apprentice and brother is still alive. And just as he utters his name, Anakin, we cut to Darth Vader in what I'll call a back-to-bath, sure. Eyes open, staring directly into the camera, as if to insinuate that Obi-Wan kind of awoken the monster. In my opinion, I kind of feel like that. And all we hear is this haunting Darth Vader breath as it takes us into darkness and the episode ends. But what did you think as we got towards the end here? I know that a lot of people don't necessarily know the ins and outs of who knows Anakin is Darth Vader and who doesn't.
This is my huge question.
Okay, so if I can, I'll do my best to try to answer based on what I know. And for Star Wars fans, don't come at me if I'm wrong. Educate me, let me know. But as far as I know, the only people at this point would know are the Emperor. If Thrawn is actually around, he probably knows, and Obi-Wan obviously knows. But Obi-Wan was under the impression that he died on Mustafar. He didn't know that the Emperor was able to get there in time and save him. The question is how does Reva know?
That's my thing.
But it connects back to what I said to you before, where she said that she found a connection between Obi-Wan and Bail Organa through the archives. I'm thinking that she found who Darth Vader actually is through those same archives, through research, and that is why she is trying to bring Obi-Wan in. And I think that, again, access to those archives, whoever it might be, it speaks to the fact that she's actually a Jedi. I honestly think that she's done her homework, she's done her research. There's a bigger game afoot here that is involving her. That's the game she's playing. We don't know the full ins and outs of it, but there is a reason, because she has like gone above and beyond, and she just killed the Grand Inquisitor. Right, so there's going to be repercussions here. So I'm intrigued, but she's obviously really slow. There doesn't seem to be any sort of real strength to these Inquisitors.
Yeah, I think that's what's frustrating me so much about her character, is that there must be something deep down that is making her so vengeful towards Obi-Wan, but it's not coming across that way at all. And all of her like reactions and her instincts don't feel like how you would think someone would feel if they were going to the ends of the earth to find someone. Like, I feel like there'd be so much more anger behind her and like viciousness. And even back in episode 1, when she's holding her lightsaber up to Owen, and she like screams at everybody that she's going to kill him and his family, even that didn't hold that much weight to me. So it's confusing, this portrayal of Inquisitors, when you'd think she'd be so much more mad. I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like she's more mad than
anyone else, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. She's definitely more mad, but she has access to information. She knows more than I think she's meant to know.
Yeah.
And to your point of what you said earlier about her strength and her power and how she might be holding that back in front of the other Inquisitors, I think that's the same thing here. She has more information. She has more skin in the game, if you will, of who these people are. Hopefully episode 3 will enlighten us a little bit more about that.
Absolutely.
And even plant a little bit more.
And I really want to like her. I really want to like this character, and I really want to be excited about where she's going. I'm just not yet. And also, the Grand Inquisitor stopped her lightsaber from like cutting that Jedi's head off, yet he can't sense that she's about to stab him in the stomach.
Well, that's my thing. And a lot of people are like, oh, he's not dead. I'm like, I don't know. Like,
well,
personally, but personally, like that's a lightsaber to the stomach. This looked pretty cut and dry. It looked like a saber to the tummy. He's done. And I honestly, I was expecting this. I was already under the impression. Not in this episode though. Let me make that entirely clear. I think after the first episode, it was clear that there was going to be a tension between Reva and the Grand Inquisitor, and that it would inevitably lead to this outcome where she would kill him.
Yeah.
The fact that it's happening 2 episodes in, that's fast.
Yeah.
Like I get it. Like we're a 6-episode series, which means the next episode, which comes out this coming week, is going to be the 3rd, which is the halfway mark of the series. So things got to get moving a little bit for us to start to kind of understand. But that being said, I think that the sort of pacing and where they're placing maybe key narrative elements, I would have liked to have seen that happen maybe in episode 3 or 4, right?
Yeah.
Like give me a little bit more of this justification of who she is. Maybe he starts to find out more about who Reva really is and what her real intentions are, which then forces the confrontation. Like, I don't know. You just had this great character come over from the animated series, and he doesn't even get that much of an opportunity to prove how great he is in live action. Yeah. And he's killed. It just shows that he was really just a thread to connect, like a vehicle. From animated. Exactly. A vehicle to connect. It's just unfortunate. So I would have liked to have seen more from him. But you know what? We'll see more of this series when the next episode comes out. But for now, let's wrap this sucker up with our overall impressions and our rating on a scale of 1 to 5 green capes, because she just looks so damn cute in that little green cape. Meg, what are your overall thoughts and score?
Starting off with a really cool clone feature having Tamura Morrison in the episode. Loved that. Loved the moments between Obi-Wan and Leia. His show of pain and connection to Anakin and Padme through this episode was really amazing. However, I think a lot of the action sequences, the chase sequences, the parkour, if you want to call it that, sequences just were really lackluster for me. And unfortunately didn't totally, the good stuff didn't always outweigh the bad stuff in this episode. So I'm going to give this one a 3 out of 5 green capes, to hope that the next 4 episodes really climb and skyrocket this story.
Yeah, I think we're on the same page yet again for this episode. I was not a fan of this episode overall. There are some great standout moments that happen throughout this episode, but again, I just think that this was a little bit lesser on the tier from episode 1. I think episode 1 did a really great job of establishing what the series is about. I feel like episode 2 kind of loses a little bit of that. It's almost like a side mission. I understand the point, and it's very clear that Leia is being leveraged here as a mechanism or a trap to get Obi-Wan out of hiding. But that being said, this was a very lackluster episode. It didn't really do much for me. Clunky action and clunky performances from some characters as well, like Flea. I'm glad that he's no longer going to be a thing. The fact that they off the Grand Inquisitor just kind of really rubs me the wrong way. I would have liked to have seen that play out more. That being said, there are still 4 more episodes and a villain on the horizon that is far more interesting than the Grand Inquisitor and quite frankly than Reva. I do think that we need to explore more of her history, like you were saying and pointing out. We need to know more about what is driving her intentions and how she just knows so much. Ewan McGregor killed it, both in this episode. Like this episode, he really does show his emotional range. You called it out, that sort of sarcastic nature that he has that's familiar to the animated series. He's bringing that in. So yeah, I'm going to give this episode the same score though. 3 out of 5. Green capes. Awesome. Well, that's it for our episode 2 Watch Club for Obi Wan Kenobi. But before we close things out, Meg, I'd love for you to share with our listeners where they can see more of you and the artwork that you're doing. So where can they find you?
Absolutely. You can find me on Instagram at Meganclara.Draws. You can find me on Twitter at Meganclara.Draws. And now you can also find me streaming on Twitch at twitch.tv/Meganclara.Draws, where I also draw live, so you get to see my process. You can see how I create characters and do different crafts. You can also watch me learn. I'm currently learning how to do background art. So, yeah, you can come and hang out with me and chat and say you found me through the Geekcentric podcast.
And of course, we'll have all the links to your accounts in the show notes below. So definitely go over to Megan Clara's channels. Show her some love. But that is it for this episode of Watch Club for Obi Wan Kenobi. We hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, make sure to subscribe to us wherever you listen to podcasts if you haven't already. And if you want to write into the show with your thoughts or your own predictions on the shows that we cover in Watch Club, well, you can reach out to us at wearegeekcentric@gmail.com. That's wearegeekcentric@gmail.com. Or you can reach out to us on Twitter at GeekcentricYT or on Instagram at wearegeekcentric. Keep in mind, we also have a ton of other episodes covering the latest and greatest shows and movies out now, including our recent spoiler-free reviews for the Bob's Burger movie and Stranger Things 4. Also, I'm stoked to say that we have our spoiler-free and spoiler-filled reviews for Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, as well as our very special interview with director Sam Raimi and writer Mr. Michael Waldron, who joined us on the podcast for an interview with myself and Kevin. Plus, we have our weekly This Week in Geek episodes where we break down the latest trailers and news every single Wednesday. Our next episode of This Week in Geek will be all Star Wars. We are going to be catching up with Nate and Darcy for all things Star Wars Celebration, so you won't want to miss that. So be sure to subscribe and, hey, maybe leave us a 5-star review if you don't mind. We always appreciate the love. Meg, thank you for joining me. And as we say, may the Force be with you.
Always.